Man, happy Thursday. It is the big baby. And I'm back, and I have one of my friends here. We're recording a little bit early today because I'm off. Didn't have to work today. And we'll do a nice little happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. Thank you for all that you do for this country. You know, it wouldn't be America without you. You know, the red, the white, and the blue. Chop on, baby. We're champions. Where's my victory cigar? We'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, we're recording a little bit earlier today because the schedule permits it, and we're not going to be like rushing to get done and miss the first quarter of Thursday Night Football. But let's open up with Aaron Rodgers. You know, last week, Aaron Rodgers missed a game because he had COVID. We missed the podcast because I was at a work conference in New Orleans getting hammered out of my fucking mind, and sorry, it just was not on. Just couldn't get this slotted in. But more importantly, Aaron missed a game, and Aaron has become, you know, a target of the cancel culture, the liberal woke media, the woke mob, as he said, because he's not vaccinated. And now in a press conference at the beginning of the year, he said, yeah, I'm not against people being vaccinated. I am immunized. And people said he misled people with that. Was it misleading? Sure. But he even acknowledged if the follow-up question would have been asked, he would have said what immunized meant. And I'm not mad at him for that, because he also explained how, hey, I'm not trying to become the face of non-vaxxers. I'm not trying to become the face of anti-vaxxers. This is health. This is personal to me. And by me having this stance, it can become political, and health should not be political. So I'm like, I get it, Aaron. You don't want to get caught up into the media bullshit, because it really has nothing to do with what you're doing, because you are making an individual choice for your body. Now, for the people who are mad at Aaron for choosing a different method to medicate himself to protect himself against the COVID-19, I'd say do what works for you. A lot of us don't make money off of our bodies. His body is the most important thing to him right now. He is not an all-pro, an MVP quarterback without his body. So the amount of time and effort and money that he puts into his body is totally different than us. He probably eats more natural foods than we eat. He probably doesn't eat all the processed BS that we eat. You know, his body is what makes him go. And when he talks about he has a team of doctors, both MDs and holistic doctors who he's sitting down with, having these conversations with, that makes sense. And yeah, he reaches out to Joe Rogan. Why? Because Joe Rogan's a super influential person who went an alternative method with his fight against COVID. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And one of the big things that Aaron talked about and Joe Rogan was preaching, everybody's talking about taking the shot because it's the quick fix, but nobody's talking about living a healthy life. People aren't talking about doing the things in order to actually become a more healthier individual, to boost your immunity. And for all of the national pundits who just came for Aaron Rodgers' head, I get it. I get it. I get why you'd have something to say. I get why Stephen A. Smith would say he should be suspended. I get why Colin Cowherd's pissed, why Nick Wright's calling him a moron, and Jimmy Kimmel's calling him a Karen, right? It's because your companies, your parent companies, are in bed with the NFL. They are the NFL's partners. And the NFL is trying to force the vaccine on all of its players. Why? Because, you know, it looks good. It says we're doing what we can to fight against COVID. But then when Aaron talks about, as a non-vaccinated player, you have to take a COVID test every single day and sit in your car until you test negative, whereas vaccinated players, they get tested every 2 weeks. They can still go in the building after their test, and then the announcement is made after the test, after the results come back, that they have to leave. Because the thing about being vaccinated, your symptoms may not be as severe. You may be asymptomatic, but you can still pass it along. So how does that make sense? You're mad at Aaron for not wearing a mask at the press conference. but he's more than 6 feet away from everybody. You have to be vaccinated to get in there, and he has to test negative that day in order to do the press conference. So it's like, hold on, I'm wearing a mask for what? I don't have it. So if I don't have it and all y'all are vaccinated, what's the problem here? And when he used the MLK quote, and some of y'all tried to say that he's comparing himself to Martin Luther King. No, he's not. He was just saying when rules are stupid, when rules don't make sense, we have an obligation to stand up against those dumb rules, and that's what he was trying to do. Why? Because you want to call him a bad leader, but he was one of the people who was in a place who could stand up against the NFL, stand up against the Packers, and say, "This is how I feel. This is what I feel about the virus." And other players couldn't do that because they lacked the clout to do that. He had the clout. So for those of you who are mad at Aaron Rodgers, get over it. It's his body, his choice, right? For those of you who are championing Aaron Rodgers as an anti-vaxxer, as Kyrie 2.0, I would say, bro, get over it. It's his body, his choice. He's not here to be your spokesperson. All he is somebody who challenges Western medicine, the medicine that doesn't seek to heal. It just seeks to keep you medicated so that you can, feed the capitalist monster here. And he's like, no, I actually am looking for true immunity. I'm looking for true healing. But I got Parlay Pete here with me, man. Hey, Parlay Pete, man. How are you doing today, man?
I am doing fantastic on this happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all the troops and those that serve this country. You guys are America's backbone, and without you, we'd be spineless. So, but I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I hope Ray-Bans is putting a nice hefty check in Josh Holsey's pocket right now. All that promotion he's been giving him this week.
Yeah, and if they looked close enough at his pictures, they would see he was wearing them in half the photos he already did have posted. So really, they should be cutting him a bigger check. But, that's not here nor there.
Yeah, so this Aaron Rodgers thing, we kind of loosely talked about it in the group text, but there wasn't any deep conversations on it because we've talked our vax stuff in the group. We've talked our vax stuff on here, man. But what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and kind of his stance and the way he went about his vaccination, his immunization status?
So all in all, I mean, I was okay with it. I think that he could have been a little bit more transparent to start off, of course, because he could have just simply said, yeah, I'm not vaccinated. But that also wasn't what he was asked. He was asked, what was the exact question? They didn't ask him, are you vaccinated? Did they? That wasn't what they asked.
No, they asked.
Because that's a yes or no question.
I think they asked him if he was vaccinated. He says, I'm immunized.
Right. And there was no follow-up question as to what that means. And
yeah,
everybody knows what that means, but still, it's always good to, I look up words that I know the meaning of all the time just to get a better understanding again of what exactly that person's saying. And so I had no problem with it just because he did say exactly what it was. And when he got on the McAfee show, he broke down exactly what he meant by that. So basically what he could have said back in August or July, whenever that he was asked the question, he broke down exactly what he would have asked, what he would have said if he was asked, can you, expound on that? Can you, go into detail of what that means, Aaron? What does that mean? I thought that he handled it really well. And, let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers is not a dumb cat. This is a dude that went to Cal Berkeley. That's one of the top schools in the nation. And so he's a gentleman and a scholar at that point. Yeah, you ask everybody that, they would probably agree, except his family. They might be the only people that don't agree with that, but that's just because at least what the media and reports say, he doesn't talk to them anymore. But and that might be for good reason too. You never know. Kobe,
cut off his hair.
He still loved his mom and dad and his sisters and stuff, but he cut them off, because for whatever reason,
And on that, I was listening to Charles Barkley on KD's podcast. Great listen. And Barkley said some of the advice he gives young players: don't be giving your friends and family no money, because it's gonna mess up the relationships and they're gonna suck you dry and they'll never be happy.
Yeah, and then it just depends on what type of family you got too. Obviously, and I'm sure they don't mind me speaking on this, but of course, I know Colin Sexton very, very well. And matter of fact, was just texting him last night. And so speedy recovery to you, Colin, too, man. I'm heartbroken by the injury, but yeah, but even with somebody like him, that's somebody I know that's made it, right? And his family, he done bought them stuff, but like they still live the same life. Everybody still works. His older brother, Jordan, who's the same age as my younger brother, Justice, he still works. He works at FedEx. I hate to be putting his info out there, but like he still works a job. Like, you know what I mean? He still has to pay his rent, all that. It's nothing different with just because he's got the money. You know what I mean? Especially because, we know the shelf life. If you look on average, how long, I know everybody only sees the players they know, but if you look on average, I think the NFL, the average shelf life is 3 years.
2.5, 3 years,
for a player. And I think the NBA is not much higher. It might be 4 or 5 years. And so that's because most of them, because it's less players, they typically do work out their rookie deal. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which is typically 4 to 5 years. And so, yeah. So, but anyways, back to Aaron outside of his family stuff. I think that he, being basically the face of the league, considering he's the reigning league MVP, I think that he spoke great on why it is that he made the decision that he did. And he just kind of explained it, to where there was nothing that anyone could say. And I think that that's what you want to be in, a point at where nobody can say anything, because that's really what it should be. Nobody should be saying anything about this stuff. Everybody has their own body and they have to determine what they want to do with it.
And that's the thing, it's so important, is everybody has to do what they want with their body. But I can't be bothered by what somebody else is doing with their body if it doesn't affect me. Everybody's saying the vaccine's the answer, the vaccine's the answer, the vaccine is the answer. Both of us are vaxxed. We always put that out there when we have these vaccine-related conversations.
Right.
But, there's no one way to do anything, right? There's just no one-stop shop. One doctor will say, like, think about the law. You have 2 lawyers who both have passed the bar exam, and they are interpreting the law 2 totally different ways in order to properly represent their client. But the law is the law. So we got health. We have multiple doctors. Hey, I need a second opinion. Why? Because one doctor can see something one way and want to attack it that way. Another doctor can see something another way and want to attack it that way. But then all of a sudden, when it comes to this particular thing, this particular virus, there's only one answer to fighting against this virus. No, man. Even in math, a lot of times there's more than one way to get to the solution.
Right.
But now with COVID, we gotta fat the pockets of Pfizer and Johnson and Johnson and Moderna. That's the only answer.
It's one of those things it's rushed anyways to begin with, because the last thing that anyone wanted to do was continue to live a life that everybody was living for. In Atlanta, it was only about 2 months, but everywhere else, it seemed like it was going on for about a year, maybe even a little over a year. But Atlanta, no, not Atlanta. We were open. Gosh, we shut down in March. We were back open by Memorial Day weekend. So, everybody's got, and look, it worked out for Atlanta. Keisha Lance Bottoms just came out and said that we're in the green now, which I didn't even know that we were still in the hell, and that she lifted the mask mandate that nobody was following to begin with. I'm like, wow. But look, Atlanta did it their way, and we're still fine. Everybody, I know there's people are dying, and my condolences to anyone that's lost somebody to the virus. But at the same time, I know that I'm a person that chose that I didn't want to live a life of fear. And I feel like that's exactly what it was. If I was meant to be taken off this earth by COVID, then I was just going to have to deal with it. I couldn't, I wasn't going to be stupid about it, but just because I've got other people that I need to live for. But at the same time, I also can't just sit up and live a life of fear. And so it's just kind of one of those things where, sorry, somebody was knocking. One of those things where everybody's got to do it their own way. And I think that Aaron exemplified that in the best way possible.
Yeah. So to kind of pivot from that, Aaron also gave himself, so much leverage with this COVID thing because the Packers trotted out Jordan Love, been with the organization a year and a half, could not win the backup job as a rookie. And he trots out there against the Chiefs, who could only muster up 13 raggedy points because the Chiefs are average at best.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love is only good for one touchdown. And as much as Brian Gutekunst and company were trying to strong arm Aaron, he goes, I beat the best team in the league pretty much by myself, ready to send all these bums to Pelican Bay. I mean, this man had he called 2 timeouts and had to delay a game on one drive because he had all these bums out here who just weren't on the same page as Aaron. No Alan Lazard. No.
Top 3 receivers were out.
Top 3 receivers were gone. And then Jordan Love goes out there. He has all 3 of those top receivers, and he must put up a touchdown. And if the Packers want to keep this thing going, they're gonna have to do some. They're gonna have to do some kissing the feet, kissing the throne of the king.
Yeah, and who knows though? Like they kind of hinted at, maybe this is his last dance. And I know that he's got to be pissed with the Odell Beckham news today because I'm gonna be honest. I thought that he was headed to Green Bay. I did. I really did because I was like, him and Devontae Adams. But at the end of the day, we got to see that OBJ loves a lifestyle a lot too. And granted, he's in a great situation because to me, Robert Woods is not really he is a 2. He's a low end 2. So he's really a 3. And Cooper Kupp
is not a real one.
Is not really a real one either. But Odell has shown that he can be a 1. And now you put him with the guy that can throw the ball in an offense that favors the passing game with an already great defense. You've got the best interior lineman in the league. You've got the best cornerback in the league for all intents and purposes. And then you just added a legend on the edge, and which when healthy, I would imagine is still a top 10 player at that position, on the edge at the end of the day. And so you mix those things in with La La Land, and Tinseltown looked damn good to Odell. And I can't wait because he's on my fantasy team. So I'm really excited to see if these results can stick.
I mean, that was a hell of a transition there, man. Good on you. But the thing about the Odell thing is, I think he's going to be productive for one because I trust Sean McVay. I trust the pieces they have there. But he's also happy. And people talk about him in Cleveland not working. Well, you know what? Baker is average to below average at quarterback, okay? Sorry. Odell needs
He's still going to get $40 million this year.
Yeah. I hope not. I hope he
What are the Browns going to do?
I'd give him $25 million.
But what if he doesn't want that because somebody might pay him more? I mean, you got to remember, and I know we're on OBJ, but you got to remember too, when they drafted him, they didn't win any games. And then just 3 years later, they win 11 games and win a playoff game. Like we're talking about Cleveland Browns. You got to remember who we're talking about.
But they also had a boatload of draft picks because of that bullshit that the GM before the GM who drafted
they still don't have. Here's the thing, because that's just the market at this point. He might not get 40, but it's going to be damn close. I bet it's damn close because what are they going to do? Let him? I mean, I guess the question is, okay, well, if you do let him off, what's the market for him elsewhere, right? 25. But then the only thing that the Browns could do if they let him walk, there's only one guy that they could get to stay as a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion.
Case.
Who?
Case.
Hell no. Actually, I tell you what, there's 2 guys that will be potentially available to where they could still stay afloat, but only one of them, if you're Cleveland, would you really want? It would probably either be Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins. I mean, like, those are the only 2 people, and that's if
Russell hustle and bustle.
Well, but because Sierra not going to let that happen. She's not going from Seattle to Cleveland. Now, a guy like Matt Ryan, hell, and shit, the Falcons, the way that he's played, I know the Carolina game, excusing that, last 6 weeks, the way that Matt Ryan, he's probably been better than any quarterbacks. He's been great the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, no, like I'm back on the Matt Ryan.
In totality, he's been great. The Falcons are going to – Fondo's going to have to – especially depending on what happens in Dallas this week. Let's say they win that game. Fondo's going to want to probably get an extension done for at least – that way the cap hit's not as bad next year either. And then you get him for another year. But here, we're on OBJ. Like, we'll get into the
OBJ to the Rams. I think it's going to work because OBJ is going to be happy. Their offense is smart, and they're going to scheme him open. And Matt Stafford actually knows how to deal with a top-end receiver who he has to force the ball to outside of the flow of the offense.
He did it for about 6 or 7 years.
He did it with Megatron. He got Kenny Galladay paid.
Golden Tate,
like that. He knows, and he's turning Cooper Kupp into an all-pro receiver. But some of the things about OBJ that I haven't liked and how he's been covered. Everybody's talking about him being a malcontent and being a diva and causing all of these problems. But nobody in Cleveland has said that OBJ was a problem. Only the media is saying he's a problem because of how he acted in New York. But outside of the visor, the Richard Mille watch, what have we seen from Odell Beckham Jr.? He came in. He wasn't great. He wasn't even really good, but he did what he was supposed. He did his job. And I'm not saying that he couldn't have been better, but I mean, shake and bake was his quarterback.
And that's exactly, why he really wanted out of there. That's not, and Baker let's keep it 100. Even though he played all right last year, but he did it without Odell, right? So outside of Baker's rookie year, where it's funny, how Snapchat gives you the memories. I was in Cleveland 3 years ago today. I was in Cleveland when we played them his rookie year, and
we lost it, didn't we?
We did. We got our ass kicked, actually. And it's funny because we were actually up 10-7 at halftime, and we were on a roll because we beat Washington the week before. We were in the playoffs as of that game, and this was the year after losing to Philly in the playoffs. So you're like,
that was 79 season, right?
Well, we started 1-4, and we won 3 in a row, and we were headed to Cleveland, and it was kind of like, now we're going. Like, you know what I mean? We're like, yeah, like you know what I mean? We're going to go back to the playoffs again, and we literally haven't had a winning record since the end of that playoff season, which I'm hoping that we break, which I know I'm getting into the Falcons too much. But either way, Baker shredded us that day. He did. He really did. I remember I sat front row on the 50 fucking yard line, and literally cheapest tickets, by the way, I ever got. I got those seats literally front row, literally on the 50, and they were like $140. I couldn't.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious. But like, either way, so Baker hadn't even been that guy. He hadn't even been that guy. That was the cocky Oklahoma Baker. Now he had all those commercials. He had that setback, that sophomore slump, and then he bounced back, not statistically, but in the win column, which is what everybody does ultimately care about. He was better statistically, but he wasn't still who he was that rookie year. And then now you got this year where he's, I guess, playing hurt, kind of hurt. Odell's gone now. There's just a lot going on to where I'm not mad at OBJ for almost basically it felt like he was getting shut out of the offense and that he was shutting himself down anyways because he didn't want to really be there. And for what it's worth, he never had a free agency. He got traded there. And it just sounded good because of how Cleveland was building the team. And clearly he got to play with his best friend in Jarvis Landry, former LSU teammate. And so it just kind of worked out well, but it didn't work out well. It ended up being one of those things that just didn't work out well. And I think that the Browns will be better for it because now we don't have to worry about it. Fantasy owners don't have to be pissed the fuck off at Baker Mayfield every week. And Odell gets to be closer to his buddy Drake, his buddy LeBron, these guys that are already out there in Tinseltown. He gets to be out there, glitz and glamour on a fucking great team. That's, I think they already beat Tampa, right? They already beat Tampa. Yeah. That's the favorite. I would think a lot of people still consider them the favorite to win the whole thing because now that Kansas City's not in it, they're probably the favorite to win the whole thing. But the Rams already beat them, and the Rams they lost to the Cardinals. But I don't think anyone. I'm not a believer.
I don't believe in the Cardinals, and Kyler's hurt again already.
Yeah, I definitely see Cliff Kingsbury knocking off the Rams and the Bucks in the Packers in the playoffs. Yeah, I see it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep telling yourself that. Anyone that's a believer in the Cardinals, keep telling yourself that. The Cardinals fuck around. Let's say they win the division and they're the 2 seed and the Falcons are the 7 seed. You watch out. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, we'll come
You
here.
watch out. Seriously.
But
Cordell Patterson's gonna go for 100 rushing and 100 receiving. You watch.
So we're both high on Odell. Like I said, I was low on the way that he's being covered because he was actually acting right, man. We've been talking about Baker, and it kind of wants to take me to the 2018 draft class. And I was just doing some random research, right? In the 2018 draft class, it's one of the most interesting draft classes in recent history because you look at it, you got Baker who went first. You got Saquon Barkley who went second, who was a bust. And that's where this conversation is coming from. I was just thinking about Saquon Barkley, and I'm like, Saquon is a bust. Is he talented? Yeah. He's a bust. And he's going to be due for a contract at the end of next year because I'm pretty sure the Giants already took his 5th-year option. What does he get paid on the market? He doesn't get a Nick Chubb deal. He doesn't get a Derrick Henry deal. He doesn't get a Kamara deal.
I think that he would get at least $5 million though, for sure. And
does he get the Le'Veon to the Jets deal?
No, because Le'Veon at least improved more. Le'Veon put together, even though he was getting hurt too. Le'Veon, I remember he had one full season where he was a fucking dog. He was probably 1,800 yards all purpose. Yeah. And probably 16, 17 touchdowns to go with it. And then he did a half a season where he was on pace to do it that way. And then it was his rookie year. So I feel like Saquon only has 1 year and that's it. Because even in the games that he's played in, it's just he's been underwhelming. It's just he's headed more down the Todd Gurley path. But obviously even Todd Gurley was more accomplished than him.
Todd Gurley earned the one big payday, even though he got it early. He had more than one season of production. And then we get to pick number 3 in this draft. Your boy, who just got replaced officially, Sam.
Yeah. Especially, did you? I'm trying to think. Was that put in the group? Somebody said he got $4.5 million.
Yeah, he got 10. He got 10. He got 10 mil, 4.5 guaranteed, and he got 5.5 in incentives.
And this is for just half a season.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. You want to know what this is? PJ Walker's going to start, and unless he blows doors or they win the game, Cam will be starting the very next week.
Dab is back.
And he's going to start the rest of the season because they want to see if they want to keep Cam, if they want to bring Cam back for good. That's what it's going to be. Because at this point, I said it once Darnold went down. I said the Sam Darnold era is over. That era is over. It's over. And so
is the Matt Rule era.
And you know what? It's crazy because I remember this draft so well because Baker shot up everybody's board. From November on is when he shot up.
No, it wasn't even November on. It was January on because he was still not a top quarterback until John, I can't think of his last name, the Browns owner with that Senior Bowl and was like, I love this guy. He has moxie. Because Bucky Brooks was like, he has a 3rd round grade. He is a 3rd round talent. He's not a first overall pick. But let me just read off some other names from this draft because it's so interesting. You got 4 Denzel Ward, 5 Bradley Chubb, 6 Quentin Nelson, 7 Josh Allen, 8 Roquan Smith, 9 it was who cares about Mike McClingley because the 49ers are a fucking dumpster fire. 10 Josh Rosen, bust. Our backup though, great. I think it's gonna be a great backup.
I like him in the backup role when the Falcons have everybody like Calvin Ridley playing. I like him in the backup role.
Yeah, a speedy recovery to Calvin Ridley too. 11 Minka, 12 Vita Vea, 14 you got Marcus Davenport, 16 Tremaine Edmonds, 17 we got Derwin James, 18 Jair Alexander, 19 Leighton Vander Esch. You talk about a draft. DJ Moore went 24 in this draft. Calvin Ridley went 26. Somehow Rashad Penny went 27. It's crazy to me. And Lamar, Sony goes 31. Lamar goes 32. Chubb goes freaking 35. Darius Leonard goes 36. Cortland Sutton goes 40. DJ Chark 61.
Fred Warner
70. Yes. Like Orlando Brown 83. Mark Andrews 86. Like this is a crazy draft class. And you look at the top of it, Baker, yeah.
He was predicted to be the best player.
And that was the wrong pick. You should have took Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. I was a big Josh Rosen guy. I'm not going to lie to you. I have to be honest. I
was high on Josh. I was too. I know that Baker put up the numbers, obviously. He won the Heisman. So, and Oklahoma was a good team. I just thought that – man. Yeah, and I thought that I agree with you. I like Josh Rosen. I didn't think that Josh Allen was going to be a bust. I didn't know enough about him. And so, the thing was, he had the measurables, right? Like when people talk about size, hands, and the type of game he played, but he played at Wyoming. So the competition wasn't as good. And
he didn't play good against good teams.
Yeah. And so, Wyoming does schedule. They'll play
Iowa.
Yeah, they'll play somebody, USC, somebody will play them, and they were getting blown out, and he was completing 49.5% of his passes. So,
and the crazy thing about Josh Allen, outside of last year and the COVID, he's back to playing like Josh Allen.
I like Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's a fucking dog. And they paid him up one. And so, I like Josh Allen, but
I'm a Lamar guy.
The biggest takeaway from this draft, I think, is how slept on Lamar truly was. Because even though I think my opinion of Lamar Jackson is that of honestly Michael Vick. I don't compare him to Vick Falcons now. And I know we spoke about this because you posted that clip. I look at him now more of Vick running Falcons and Vick Eagles passing. He's not quite there, but he's closer to that than he is to who Vick was as a passer with the Falcons. And so, I think that his game is showing that it is getting better, and he's in an organization that's competent, that has continuity, good leadership, good coaching, and that would be my biggest takeaway is how the fuck did everybody sleep on Lamar?
So I think that
I bet Lamar on the Browns.
I don't know if it will be that good because the incompetence in the organization historically. But
who would have been his coach to start?
Hugh, my man, Hugh.
How would that have worked? God.
He would have been
the what if game is one of the greatest games in sports.
He would have been backing up Tyrod Taylor. But here's the thing I like about Lamar and what Lamar tells you that a lot of these experts and scouts say. The one thing about the draft that makes it an imperfect science is the stuff that you really want to know about a player. You don't figure it out until they get there. You don't know who's going to work hard in the offseason. You don't know who has that real crazy work ethic. You don't know how close. You have an idea of how close they are to their ceiling, but you really don't know how close they are to their ceiling and what their floor is. And look at Lamar. He's put on a good 15 to 20 pounds since he's gotten in the league. He's added different dimensions to his passing game.
He's still gotten that fumble shit over, though. He still fumbles the ball a lot, especially with goal line.
Hey, we're taking it year by year. We're getting better at something different every summer, right? He's not getting hit as much. He's not getting hit often hard,
And his run game is down to Devontae Freeman. And boy, you're in trouble if Devontae Freeman.
Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell, and Latavius Murray. A bunch of
even he's hurt. He didn't play last week. So even those guys aren't. They're not even staying healthy. And that is a group of unhealthy.
And he honestly everybody's trying to give the MVP to Brady, and I'm like, Lamar.
That's an interesting conversation too. Who would be the NFL MVP? And I know we're going to get to the midseason, award since we're halfway through the year. But that would be a very interesting question. And I feel like I'm just hitting. Am I hitting it right now with these transitions?
Yeah. You're right there. Let's get into midseason awards.
That's an interesting question. Who is your halfway point MVP?
Mine's Lamar.
Obviously, most people, the first thing you look at is record. So who's contending? Who's there? Brady's obviously there. So is Lamar. Some people want to suck Kyler Murray's dick. Even though I think Colt McCoy might have hurt his case by going out there and doing what they did. Either that or Mike Shannahan and John Lynch. Like I said, they need to be prepared for that very hot seat next year because that's where they're going to be headed.
John Lynch needs to go ahead and call the execs at Fox and say, "Hey, about that job I used to have."
Right. Well, and then let's take it a step further. They wouldn't give it to him again just because of now what's came out. The NFL, I know they didn't like what he did. The NFL did not like what Aaron Rodgers did. And so Aaron Rodgers, hell, he just, before the COVID thing, he had just came off beating the last undefeated team on the road with nobody. Why can't he be MVP again?
Because he's an anti-vaxxer. Or excuse me, he is not an anti-vaxxer. He is just he's not
which I didn't understand why people were grouping him and Kyrie, because I was like, if anything, he kind of shaded Kyrie because he literally grouped the two together. He's like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, flat earther, which we all know that Kyrie Irving is the flat earther. Like, he definitely is a flat earther, and clearly he's anti-vax.
So I got a phone call about that, and it was yesterday. One of my good friends was like, "Hey, man, you need to hit this on the pod about how Aaron Rodgers is getting a pass and Kyrie got killed." I'm like, I asked him, I was like, the people I'm listening to are giving Aaron the business. You know, like,
are they giving him the MVP business? Absolutely
not. Aaron's not getting an MVP. Oh, you know the one thing I forgot to hit on the Aaron conversation? How the hell CeeDee Lamb got charged, got fined $20,000 for a uniform violation, but Aaron got $14,000 for his.
That's ridiculous. I tell you what, we can give that a midseason award. Biggest bullshit call of all time by the league.
So Goodell is the absolute worst when it comes to like levying reasonable punishment. He just sucks. Cowherd's been saying it for years. He's like, Goodell just needs to put together a board who handles this stuff so he can just wash his hands of it, because he does everything else really, really well. It's just discipline. He just sucks at it.
Yeah, it's definitely not his forte. And shame on him. Shame on him. But what I will say, when it comes to the MVP talk, I'd had to go down and kind of look at some stats, because, like I said, Lamar and Brady would be the first people to come to mind. But he really hurt his case on Sunday night. But man, Matt Stafford is having a phenomenal year too. He leads the league in passing, 68% completion percentage, 8.6 average per attempt, 23 touchdowns, 6 picks. They beat Brady. So they have the tiebreaker, so they're ahead of them in the standings. And then the other person that I was thinking that, to be totally honest, he could have broke the trend of an quarterback winning the award. If Derrick Henry didn't go down, I think that he was well on pace to win it too, because of how well Tennessee looks. They have the best record in the AFC, but this 4-game stretch where they played basically the best that the NFL outside of Tampa has to offer, good shit. Good shit. Even though they got blown out by Arizona early in the year, the first game of the season.
First game of the year or whatever.
Good shit by Derrick Henry. I mean, he was on pace to do another 2,000-yard season.
Yeah, he was probably going to break Eric Dickerson from Sealy, Texas record.
Yeah, and so I think that it sucks that he did get hurt, because he definitely was going to be in it. Like, if there was a year, it was this year. This year, repeating what he basically did last year, and they were winning more. And it's not like Julio's been a factor. I bet. Do you think Julio? We'll get to the Falcons, but do you think Julio misses Atlanta?
He definitely misses QC and P.
I think he misses Matt Ryan.
I would too. Tannehill's not the same Tannehill without Arthur Smith.
Tannehill's not. He wasn't better than Matt Ryan anyways, and so I just feel like he misses him. But I tell you what, I'm gonna go.
So defensive player of the year. I have no idea.
Oh, Diggs.
Diggs.
As of today, yeah, I would say that he's been the most impactful defensive player in the NFL.
He got torched last week, though.
Yeah, he did by a average quarterback and certainly an average receiving core. They didn't even have Noah Fant playing. Noah Fant didn't even play. But the running backs are who really did the work. Williams and they both killed it. They're the reason why they beat Dallas. And it sounds like a Dan Quinn defense to me. I mean, running backs catching passes. Like, yeah, that sounds about right, to be totally honest with you.
Let's see. Offensive player of the year. It would have been Derrick Henry.
Yeah, for sure. And it sucks. I mean, it sucks. At this point, whoever wins MVP is offensive player of the year.
Yeah, I just can't.
Lamar probably gets it from a statistical standpoint just because of what he does with his legs and his arm.
Does Zeke have a case to make his way up there?
No, because Tony Pollard is low-key. Tony Pollard's the type of guy I want the Falcons to bring in next year.
Anybody but Mike
Davis. He won't be as expensive, and then it'll give me Michael Turner vibes a little bit.
You know who could make a push for it though? Jonathan Taylor. If the Colts can challenge for the AFC South, he's sitting at
make the playoffs. I think if they can make the playoffs, because think about it, they started 0-4, and they're one of the hottest teams in the NFL.
Because he's sitting at 821 rushing yards. Let's see. Let me see. Come on, IT. Get your head out your.
He'll probably end up leading the league in rushing.
Yes, he's probably going to get the rushing
second now, and we know that Derek is out. Well, him or Chubb, right? Joe Mixon's having a great year too, though.
He also has 293 receiving yards, almost as many as he had all of last year. So he'll get to around about 600 receiving yards. Looks like we're halfway. He'll have about 1,600 yards, 1,700 yards this year. If he goes 2,000 all-purpose yards, he's at 9 total touchdowns. He gets to 18, maybe even 20 touchdowns. They might throw it at him, especially if they're winning. And Joe Mixon, I don't know if Joe Mixon wins awards because of his history.
Well, he's a Pro Bowler this year so far. I mean, the Bengals are contending. They're in the playoff hunt. They're in the playoffs, I think.
Why is Lamar Jackson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the league in rushing?
Because he's Lamar Jackson, but which is why I said it might be him, really, just because of what he does. Because he'll end up with what are they? He's played 8 games. They've got 9 more to go. He'll end up getting to that 1,000. He's going to run for 400 more yards this year.
He's going to have 1,000 rushing yards and probably 4,000.
He probably will have a career high in passing yards. Yeah. So I would say him. That's why he was the first person I think. I think he would be, even if he doesn't win MVP somehow, he will win Offensive Player of the Year just because of production alone. Because Offensive Player of the Year is a statistic award.
Yeah.
And they typically do give it to the MVP, but that's not always the case either. Like, I mean, Matt Ryan, when he won MVP, he got both. Cam Newton did it. He got both. But Cam had a special year. And they, 15-1 Super Bowl. But
let's get to the rookie awards. We got
easy. We know the answer to both.
Who you got?
I don't even think it's close. Well, offensively, it's Jamar Chase. I mean, he kind of did get shut down last week, but gosh, boy, has he been special. He has looked like Justin Jefferson and like Odell Beckham all at the same time. Like,
what about Najee?
He's creeping in because now he got off to a slow start though. He's creeping in, and then I tell you what, dark horse. If the Falcons really get good, Kyle Pitts has been so good this year.
He's turning up.
He has. That's what I'm saying. Especially now with Calvin out, and you got to understand he's getting the attention because Russell Gage isn't getting it. It's Kyle Pitts. Now teams literally are like he kind of got shut out a little in Carolina. He had an okay game against the Saints. He dropped that touchdown to start the game. That was a touchdown, but he's played really well too. I really like what he's been doing. He had strung together 2 straight 100-yard games. He's probably the reason he wouldn't get it. He won't have the touchdowns to go with it. Unfortunately, if he had double-digit touchdowns and 1,000 yards, he'd be all up in it.
Hey, don't forget about Mac and Cheese though, because he's going to win the AFC East.
They're not winning the AFC East. They're gonna. They might make the playoffs. If they don't win this week, they're not making the playoffs.
Didn't somebody come on this podcast and try to say that the Patriots would win the East this year?
Wasn't me. Might have been JP.
And no, it wasn't him either.
Well, then who was it? It wasn't me.
It was me.
I'm shocked. Yeah. I'm shocked you said that. I think I'm okay with them making the playoffs. I think I might have said that they could make the playoffs, but I think that just what it is that team is going to be predicated on defense and running the ball. I mean, it's back to the basics. It's back to those first Patriots Super Bowls. You know, that's kind of what Belichick's formula was going to have to be going into this season. Mac doesn't have the stats. Like Jamar Chase is going to have over 1,300 yards and over 10 touchdowns. You know what I mean? So, like, to me, he's just a runaway. And then for defensively,
Brandon Cooks is number 4 in the league in receiving yards.
I mean, who else do they have to throw the ball to? If anything, I'm surprised that nobody tried to make a trade for him. Like he would have been great with Green Bay. Yeah, especially now that he didn't get Odell. Like, he would have been great for Green Bay. Like, that would have that's good stuff.
Hey, is there any momentum for Cooper Kupp, Offensive Player of the Year?
He didn't have a very good game last game.
He's leading the league in receptions, he's leading the league in yards, and he's leading the league in touchdowns. 74 receptions, 1,019 yards, and 10 touchdowns.
He only gets Offensive Player of the Year if Matt Stafford wins MVP.
Fair. Like he's already had a good season.
Yeah, he
could get hurt and have had a good season.
Yeah,
but he's still not a number one.
Kind of the Derrick Henry effect there with him.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. Is there one? I don't know.
All right. So, I think it's a runaway. Micah Parsons.
Oh yeah.
The Cowboys, even though they got torched last week, and they're probably going to get torched this week, I hope. Michael Parsons, though, he's had the biggest. I'm looking at impact, and that's why I kind of went with Diggs. The Cowboys defense, aside from last week, looked pretty fucking good. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. we can't blame them for the first game of the season giving up 31 on the road to the defending champs, especially if Brady is maybe the MVP himself. Like, so it's going to be hard. Outside of that, between that game and last week, the Cowboys defense, even though ranks middle of the pack, they've improved the team so much by how well they played. And specifically those two players' impact has made it to where, to me, I don't see how they both don't win the awards, barring, I don't know, Matt Ryan throws for like 506 TDs on them, and then like the Cowboys just start losing games. They'll still win that division. But barring some stuff like that, like a second half collapse from the defense, both of those guys, to me, I think as of today, have got to be it. And then you obviously your Aaron Donalds, you're always going to throw those guys in there, like the people that we know are the impact players and that do this. But Diggs is definitely a lock to me for defensive. I like Parsons for rookie defensive. I think Jamar is a lock for offensive rookie. Offensive player could go either way. And then MVP, if I had to choose one today, I would personally choose Lamar, because I think he's the most valuable to his team.
I personally choose Lamar, but I'd bet Brady.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Coach of the Year. I think it might be Cliff.
It has to be. It has to be. Unfortunately.
I don't think he should be able to put Coach of the Year on his mantelpiece, because he's just like – Bill Belichick is making one of his best claims for Coach of the Year of his career right now. What he's doing up there in New England, especially when he wins that division, but they'll give it to Cliff, because Cliff, it looks better when Cliff.
So I'm preparing for a pod, right?
Yeah. Now I think Cliff would definitely probably be the guy as of today. I'll give you a dark horse, depending on how much better he gets. And it's two of them. Mike Vrabel, because if Tennessee keeps winning without Derrick Henry, I mean, what more? If they get the number one seed without him, how much more could you do with the best? That's The best running back in the NFL is by far your best player. You already didn't have a very good defense to begin
How
with.
crazy is it that Cliff Kingsbury already gets more love as a good NFL coach, which I don't think he is, over Mike Vrabel? Like, people love the smoke and mirrors. Oh, Cliff this, Cliff that, or Brandon Staley. He's barely 500 now. Brandon Staley's doing this and that. Like, bro, Vrabel, similar to another AFC South coach who was just winning division after division, Bill O'Brien. He's just going down here and just winning fucking division after division after division.
And Vrabel came from that coaching tree, even though he's a Belichick guy.
But he didn't coach for Belichick.
And maybe he might have even been – was Vrabel with Kubiak even before Bill O'Brien? I don't know. But no. He couldn't have been with Kubiak because Kubiak went to Denver in like 14 or 15. And so Vrabel was definitely under – but you know what? Technically, he's not a branch, but he's a stem of the Belichick because O'Brien is a Belichick.
Right. He's like a stem. He never coached.
And certainly, Vrabel being a player for Belichick probably follows more of Belichick-esque coaching style as opposed to Bill O'Brien because Bill O'Brien is coaching offense in college right now. So while Mike Vrabel is winning division titles, so I'm gonna count Vrabel under the Belichick tree. So
Bill O'Brien's just waiting for a job. He just fucked up and tried to be a GM. If he just would have stayed coaching, he would have been.
He'll be back in college. He'll get a college head coaching gig. Hell, maybe he gets the USC gig. I don't know, but
maybe he goes back to Penn State when
Franklin goes to USC. You're right.
USC, you know what? Thanks for warming that seat for me. I'm back.
Right, and so he's a dark horse because right now Cliff Kingsbury has to be it because they have the best record and nobody expected that. And then secondly, I'll throw one out at you. What about Mike Tomlin? If the Steelers can win another game this week, they'll be 6-3. Ben clearly sucks. And they're winning games. I mean, look, that Monday night game, they should have lost, but they're winning games. They'll be 6 and nobody. I didn't expect them to do it. Like, I thought that they were a 500 team. They look like they will be a little above 500, but to me, I thought it was a 500 team.
Well, remember, we were planning a podcast to bring Jew on just so we could shit on the Steelers.
Well, we still can because they're not winning anything. But the fact that they are kind of weathering the storm, no Juju, no more TikToks. Ben does suck. Ben still sucks. That doesn't change that. I mean, he's doing a good job. And then now you got people trying to put him in coaching rumors for USC, and he's still weathering the storm. He's doing what Mike Tomlin does, which is win games. He wins games.
That's a great transition because that takes us into the AFC North. What a division this year, man. What a freaking division. I don't know who's going to win it. I would bet Baltimore.
Yeah.
But they got four teams.
They got hosed by goddamn the Bengals, though, too.
But
the Bengals already beat the Steelers.
You got four teams that, like, all four of these teams, either of these four teams can end up in the playoffs, and I'm not shocked by either. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, Cleveland, they'll make it because of their roster, but I'm like, their quarterback, they got the worst quarterback.
Reminds me of the 2017 NFC South.
Well, we're gonna hit that too because we got three teams in the South in the playoffs right now. And
we did in 2017 too.
And we called it at the beginning of the year, remember?
I felt good about it. Yeah, I felt good about it just because, look, the thought was if the Falcons we've already won as many games this year as we did last year. And so, and we knew that was going to probably happen because we lost so many close games. But AFC North, I think I am a betting man. I definitely would roll with Baltimore because they have the best player in the division. And
if two teams get in, what two are you picking?
Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And the only reason I'm going to pick Pittsburgh is because the Bengals still just have this. They got to shake that stigma before I can take them. I would take them over Pittsburgh. They got to shake that stigma. And the thing with the Browns is they're really a mixed bag. Like,
it made me gag, hold take it.
Offensively, a couple of malfunctions here. What's going on over there? What are you drinking?
I'm using the wrong phone to like explore Instagram shit.
Oh my goodness. Get your ass off Instagram. But I think that the Browns, they're kind of due now to let down. I know they had that big win against the Bengals, but now the Odell thing is gone, I guess, but they still can't throw the ball. The defense is holding up enough. But you got Chubb. That's the thing. You can definitely run the ball. Like, you're able to run the ball. But once you play a team that really can stop the run, you're screwed.
Yeah, because Baker can't pass.
You'll probably be playing from behind a majority of the game, and you're not going to win. So, to me, they just smell like an 8-8. Well, now I guess this year will be 8-9, 8-9, maybe 9-8. They just smell 500 to me. But so does Pittsburgh, and really so do the Bengals. But I think that Baltimore wins 10, 11 games.
So
starting tonight, by the way, they're gonna beat the shit out of the Dolphins. But go ahead.
Absolutely. At the beginning of the year, people were saying that the West, NFC and AFC were going to be the strongest divisions, and I was like, man, I was still holding on to the AFC North as the strongest division in the league, and I think it's playing out that way. But you look at the NFC West, you called it with the Seahawks.
Now, for what it's worth, Russ got hurt, but they had a losing record when Russ got hurt.
It didn't matter. Shanahan, which is another topic we'll get to, some people might be looking for some new jobs in a year or two.
I hate that we don't still have DQ, because I would still love him here. Just because I know it works. Like, I know it works.
And then you have the AFC West, where it was just a foregone conclusion that the Chiefs would be like 8-1, 9-1 right now, or 7-1, whatever the hell. And they're belling water, and they're a bad TV product. Like, forget the fact that they're not winning. Like, they're not entertaining. Who's leading that division right now? The Raiders? Are the Raiders still leading the AFC West?
No, it's the Chargers.
We got the Chargers with a rookie head coach and a second year core.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the Chargers at 5-3, leading the division. We got the Raiders at 5-3, second. We got the Chiefs at 5-4 and third, and we got the Broncos at 5-4 and fourth. So I guess it's still a good division because you have 4 teams above 500. But I've watched these teams, and the Chiefs are not a good football team right now.
They're not complete. The Chargers seem more complete than any of them.
The Raiders have too much bad juju going on over there. I don't know if that's going to galvanize them or if that's just going to tear them apart eventually. And I love Teddy Two Gloves, but I mean, I wouldn't bet my 401k on it.
Not especially after you got rid of your defensive captain of basically the last decade. I mean, so it's one of those things where, and that guy, Vic Fangio, he was coaching for his job anyways this season. He came in on the hot seat. And so good win over the Cowboys. I won't take anything away from him. Give him all the credit in the world. It's kind of what you said. Who?
They kicked the Cowboys' ass. It was like,
yeah, they did. They did it better than anyone this year. And everybody, because that's America's team, everybody was sucking the Cowboys fucking dry. I hope that we put it on them. And, I'm going to that game this week too. So I really hope.
I didn't, but I'm not shocked.
That I'm going?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my dad's
that's right.
My dad's a Cowboys fan, and then my whole family, my Hodges side of my family is all they live in Dallas. So and we got business there and stuff. So it only made sense. It only makes sense. And I've been there before. I've been to Jerry World, but I've never been for a Falcons game. I've been to 2 Cowboys games there before. But either way, yeah, the Denver kicked that ass. And so they definitely let it be known that they're not giving up. That this Sunday we got the Raiders and the Chiefs. The winner of that game will basically separate themselves. The Raiders can put the dagger in the Chiefs if they beat them. If the Chiefs drop to 5-5, they definitely aren't going to win the division, to me.
I hope they miss the playoffs.
I want to see Patrick Mahomes in the wild card spot. I actually don't. I hope that they make it, even if it's just as a 7 seed. I do want to see him in the playoffs. I want to see how he can play not having home field advantage. I'm curious to see, and then how the betting odds will fluctuate too, because that's going to make things a lot more interesting too. What do you place the Chiefs at if they're a 7 seed on the road headed to a 2 seed? Like,
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Let's say it's Tennessee back with Derrick Henry, or it's Buffalo. What do you do in that game? How do they set the odds? Do you put the Chiefs at plus 200 with anything above plus 200 with Patrick Mahomes? I mean, it's compelling to me. That's the only reason I want the Chiefs in. Because it makes it so much more compelling.
I don't know if you get plus odds on the money line.
Put it this, all right, and I know that different sports, but put it this way: the Lakers were the 7th seed in the West last year, playing the Suns. The first game, the Lakers were the favorite on the road against the team that had been consistent all year. Obviously, we know the end of the story. The Suns won the series, and they went to the NBA Finals, and were up in the fucking NBA Finals against the Bucks. And it's kind of the same thing. I look at it just that way. The power of LeBron James and AD made it to where you couldn't even to where they said it to where it was just like, now you make the decision. Like, do you really believe what the Suns did was for real, or do you know what we know? And what we know is that the Chiefs have been to 2 straight Super Bowls and 3 straight AFC Championship games. How do they fare against a team like Tennessee? Let's say that, and I'm going to say that they have Derrick Henry back since they didn't rule him out for the season. Let's say it is Tennessee.
So what I would say is, just like the Lakers, the Chiefs are a public team. And back to what I said earlier, you're not getting plus odds on that money line. There's no way in hell you're getting plus odds.
If they play the Bills or the Titans, with the Titans one will be a closer. But if it's the Bills, I bet the Bills are minus 200 at least.
But you know how much public money is going to come in on the Chiefs. And you know the last thing the Vegas wants to do is let the public kick their ass in the playoffs week 1 on the Chiefs.
Because of all that money that's going to be going into it.
And that's where the odds get super weird, because, we can look at a game and like how Simmons and Sal, they guess the lines every fucking week. And almost every line makes sense until you throw in teams like the Cowboys, the Brady Patriots, which the Bucks are in a similar boat, the Chiefs, where these teams are just such public teams and people are betting that team without logic. Vegas has to then go in and manipulate those lines in order to still try to come up. And that's where it gets real funny.
No, absolutely. And so it's and that's going to be a part of it. But I'm just saying, don't you think it makes it compelling to see Patrick Mahomes week 1?
It's compelling because I would bet the Chiefs money line every week, and they would be in the Super Bowl, and I wouldn't be shocked. Like,
you want to know what they want? The league wants this. I think in a weird way, they want Vegas to honestly win the division, because, man, what would Las Vegas look like for a home playoff game? And then they want the Chiefs in the playoffs still, because you got that factor of them playing against, let's say that they play against the winner of the AFC North. Let's say it's LeVar. I mean, I don't know who, we don't know. We're only halfway through, right? But like, it makes it so much more compelling. Like, you want as many names in it as possible. And I think that in a weird way, like, if we look at the NFC, out of the teams that it could realistically, I mean, I guess nobody's out of it completely, but based on records, the last 2 wild card playoff spots are really up for grabs for 4 teams: Falcons, Vikings, Seahawks,
Panthers.
That's who those last. And Saints. So out of those 5 teams, those are going to be the last 2 spots in the NFC. Who would you want to see out of it? I think that in a weird way, even though the Falcons aren't a draw, Matt Ryan is still an MVP. It would be a good story. Hey, which actually, you know what? Falcons win 10 games this year. Give Mike Smith some consideration for that Coach of the Year too, by the way.
Arthur Smith, not Mike Smith. We got rid of that.
Yeah, give him some consideration. But, we don't know if the Saints are going to fall apart yet.
I think they will, because their quarterback play is going to be
out of the playoffs is the question. Their defense is still pretty good, and they can run the ball. That's going to be, and the Saints play well at home. They do. Just not against the Falcons in 2021. But they play well at home.
So in the other West, we got the Rams and the Cardinals doing what we expect them to do.
Well, the Cardinals aren't. We didn't expect that.
You're right.
I expected them to be in the mix. I didn't expect them to have the best record in the NFL. The Rams, I did. I expected the Rams, honestly, to probably be the best team in the NFC this year.
And then we got Seattle doing what you said they do. But we got this wild card out here, man. We got the 49ers. And the 49ers are not a good football operation.
They stink.
And let me just pull up their draft picks, man, because the 49ers just moved heaven and earth to get Trey Lance, and he's not starting. And Jimmy Garoppolo's not great.
Oh, he isn't.
And their record is not great. So what the hell are you doing right now? I understand that this is Kyle Shanahan's first job, and he's known to be rigid. He's known to do things his way or the highway, right? And then you got John Lynch, who is a brand new GM, first time doing it. And, you know, let's see what can come of this, John Lynch. And I'm just curious to see what Jed York, the owner, is going to do. Because, I mean, Jed York, if we're talking about great owners, I wouldn't put him on my list of great NFL owners. He had the Harbaugh years that were great, but then he also hired Jim Tom Sula and Chip Kelly, and you see where that got you. And I'm not knocking him for hiring Kyle Shanahan, but maybe he should have hired Kyle Shanahan to coach and not coach and GM, because he's a brand new coach, a rookie coach who had not proven anything in this league as a head coach. Yeah, he can call plays. Nobody's knocking whether or not Kyle can call plays. But outside of one season, he got to a Super Bowl. He didn't even win the Super Bowl. And think about how many coaches DQ got to a Super Bowl. He is now an assistant. My man up in Philly, Dougie P. Dougie P won a Super Bowl.
Unemployed.
He's unemployed.
Hey, but you know what's funny? He might have a job.
Let me finish my list. Brian Billick. He was a great OC for the Vikings. He won a Super Bowl at the Ravens. And what happened after that? Nothing. Mike Martz, greatest show on turf, great OC. You know, he had a short run, and after his second job, we didn't see Mike Martz again. Maybe his first job. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I don't think he ever got another head coach.
Yeah, he didn't coach after the Rams. I was getting him
a couple of OC jobs, but he never got another head coach.
I was thinking about Mariucci, Mooch. You know, he's on TV now. Who else we got? There's so many coaches, right? Kubiak is a Super Bowl winning coach, and Kubiak is doing God knows what right now.
But
so
his was hell.
Fair.
It was hell. It was because he brought stability to the Texans, and then he won in Denver, and then he kind of, he left out on that job at the right time. Is what it really is. He left out at that job at the right time because.
Hold on. Some guy in the YouTube comments claiming to be Matt Nagy says Matt Rule just ended racism by starting PJ Walker over Sam Darnold. Hey, Matt Nagy, Sam Darnold's hurt, and he sucks. And Cam Newton is going to take that job there, buddy.
Next week, yeah, because if they're giving him that kind of money, there's no way they're not starting him. This is like an audition. It really is to see if they want him to be the quarterback next year. Like I don't take that as anything else. There's no way you give that amount of money to do that. But
Kyle Shanahan has won 40% of his games. Every other NFL fucking podcast has told you all the coaches' winning percentages that are better than his, and you'll be like, I would never hire that guy. So did we just fall in love with the play caller, not realizing that this guy is maybe not head coach material, which it's okay. There's nothing wrong with being a great OC.
I don't want to blame him for this. I guess the question is, who do you blame, right? Because like you said, him and Lynch are damn near co-GMs, right?
Hey, hold on, Pierce. You see this comment up here?
Jets fans should legitimately be concerned a Madden-generated quarterback named White was. That's true too, though, Matt. That's true too, Matt. If that's you, man, you need to worry about your job too. Look, just like the number 2 overall pick, Matt Nagy probably should be worrying about his job. But nonetheless, yeah, I think that to answer the Kyle part, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know whether or not it's necessarily all of his fault, is all I'm saying. I think that he just has such a proven track record as a play caller. And I know that doesn't mean that you're a good head coach, because DQ might be a good defensive play caller, right? But like at the same time, what is it that Kyle is doing wrong? I guess I think that Jimmy G is definitely a part of the reason, for sure. And that's why they drafted Trey Lance anyways. I think that they knew he was already injured. Now Trey Lance got hurt. They don't really – their starting running back went down. They probably need more talent at that position. And actually, I like Elijah Mitchell. Let me take that back because he's on my fantasy team. I like Elijah Mitchell. But they don't really have the star power. Debo is solid, but Debo's not a 1. We know that. Brandon Ayuk is clearly not first-round material. They probably need another receiver in there, and they might need – I like Elijah Mitchell. Let me keep saying that because he's on my fantasy team. And he's actually – when he's healthy and they give him the ball, he actually plays really well. But, so he might be a piece, but you drafted Trey Sermon in the 3rd round, and he gets no touches. But you drafted Elijah Mitchell in the 6th round, and he gets all of them. And so maybe it could be a drafting thing too.
Hey, so here's what I think is going to be damning to Shannahan and Lynch, because they say Shannahan has final say on personnel. He drafted Solomon Thomas. He drafted Reuben Foster. He drafted, I can't even say this Witherspoon guy's name, so I'm not going to try.
He drafted Mike McGlinchey, which we were
right. He drafted C.J. Beathard. He drafted Joe Williams. I don't care about this guy. Okay. Well, Kittle. He got Kittle in the 5th round. All right.
But Iowa's tight end it's very hard to not get a good tight end if you just draft one from Iowa. 2018,
yeah, he got McGlinchey. 2nd round, Dante Pettis. I don't even know if this guy's still in the league.
Nope. Speed. Nothing but speed out of Washington. I remember.
Round 3, he did get Fred Warner. We'll give him that.
Great pick.
Let's see. Let's get to 2019, because after round 2, round 3, it doesn't really matter. Like we're throwing.
Dan Quinn looks like the greatest evaluator of talent, by the way.
So 2019, he got Nick Bosa. That
fell in his lap. That was almost a given.
Yeah, me and you could make that pick. Then he got Debo in the 2nd round. Good draft there. Jalen Hurd, 3rd round, whatever. He got a punter in the 4th. I just can't really get with that.
Can't ever get the draft in the special teams. You remember when the Bucks drafted the boy out of Florida State, Aguayo, in the 2nd round? I mean, think about the drugs they were on.
So 2020 1st round, they got Javon Kinlaw.
What kind of drugs were they on when they drafted him in the 2nd round? I know he was the most accurate NCAA kicker, but the kicking game isn't that fucking important.
Bro, look, Matt Nagy's on one, bro.
Oh my goodness.
We're not touching that with Matt Nagy. Sorry, dog.
Yeah, I got.
We want to keep our jobs, unlike you. So, there's a lot going on down there. Let's just do a quick little Cam thing, because we're at an hour and 13. I love these. Cam's back in the league. I feel like you're happy. I'm happy. He's in the division, which is unfortunate. I don't know if he's the Cam. He's not the Cam that we used to be afraid of, but if Colt McCoy can go out and take NFL snaps, Cam Newton should be taking
and win games that you need to win in the division. And that was on the road.
Ron Rivera. Yeah, dog. Yeah. You may not have liked Cam.
But as soon as Patrick went down, he should have made the call at least and brought him in. He didn't even do that.
I know. I prefer Cam Newton over a Heineken any day. I drink American. You see this right here? This ain't an ad for Sweetwater 420. We like them Georgia boys over Heinekens any day, buddy. Go Dogs, sick 'em. Since JP's not here, we're not going to hit Michigan versus Michigan State. I just didn't think it was worthwhile without the Michigan fan here.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we can do one thing though with college, just because we don't show much love to the college game on here. Let's talk about in general this playoff and how kind of it's shaping out. If you take a look at it, I think that we can all agree that as long as Georgia doesn't lose up until the SEC championship, Georgia will be they will be in the playoffs, even if they lose to Alabama.
Yeah,
they're in.
If Alabama gets there.
Matter of fact, they don't fall below 3 because, of course, if Alabama were to beat them and Alabama stays undefeated, Alabama would be 1, and there would be no way that they would put Georgia at 4 for them to play again immediately.
Absolutely not.
So Georgia doesn't fall below 3 at this point, as long as they can finish out the regular season undefeated.
What happens if Bama loses to Georgia on a walk-off field goal in the SEC championship?
Alabama's out because there's a good chance that, depending on what happens, Cincinnati's going to be undefeated, and it will be hard to not put them in undefeated against a 2-loss, even if it is Alabama, a 2-loss team. It's going to be tough to do. And then Oklahoma could still go undefeated, even though they have got to be the least convincing undefeated team I've ever fucking seen in my life. And I think that either Oregon or Ohio State, one of them is going to win out. The rest, or Michigan, if you count Michigan, Ohio State, and Oregon, one of those 3 teams wins out. So they're going to get in. If Michigan wins out, that means they beat Ohio State and they win the Big Ten title. They're in. Or vice versa. If Ohio State beats Michigan, Ohio State wins out. They're going to get in. So to me, Ohio State, Georgia, out of those 3, Ohio and then Georgia are locks. Like those are 2 spots already. And who knows? So, 2 out of the 3 could do it, because if Oregon just doesn't lose again, Oregon's in. And so
true.
And so at that point, then you're saying it's undefeated Cincinnati versus Alabama. Alabama's better, and everybody knows it by eye test, right? We all know that. Like, there's nothing to even talk about there. But at the same time, I don't know how fair it is to not let them in undefeated after going undefeated in the regular season last year too. And they, for what it's worth, they played Georgia's backups tough, because a lot of those guys sat out that game. They did. I mean, I told Justice that when we were doing the betting on New Year's Day. We were getting ready for my brother's wedding, and I'm like, Georgia's going to cover, because the spread was 6. They didn't cover. Georgia didn't cover, but Georgia did win money line. And I don't know. I wouldn't want to leave them out, even though I know that if Georgia played Cincinnati,
boat race,
whenever they put the spread at, they're going to cover this time. I know they will.
Boat race.
I wouldn't even think fucking twice about it.
Bro, this Georgia defense is one of the best defenses I've watched as a grown man.
6 points per game through 9 games in the season in the SEC. I don't give a fuck if they played. It's not their fault they're in the East and they have to play Vandy and that's not our fault. They dog walked fucking Florida, who gave Alabama everything they could handle. Clemson, regardless of how everybody wants to look at it, it still came in as that type of game, and it was still a dogfight. It was 10-3. It was still a dogfight, but guess what? They came out victors. Who knows? If Clemson wins that game, maybe they're not as bad as they are. Maybe that game doesn't deflate them so much, because it was such a physical fucking matchup. I mean,
yeah, it was. I remember sitting at a pizza spot in Monterey, California. Those bastards wouldn't put it on the TV. We've talked about this here, watching on my phone. And it was just, if I wasn't a fan of Georgia, I don't know if I would even want to watch that game, because it was just defense. But here, let me just say one thing about this college football playoffs thing. Everybody has an opinion on it. People are upset. People are all up in arms about this and that. We need to add more teams. We need to do this. We need to do that. Here's the thing. The committee always gets it right. The best team wins the natty. It's like the fucking March Madness. Oh, we should add more teams. Yeah, okay. We want another 17 seed here. Who gives a damn? Guess what? The best teams end up where they're supposed to be. Oh, Cinderella story here. Guess what? 1s and 2s or what's in your Final Four damn near every year. The name brands, the favorites get there. Why? Because they're the best. And the same thing happens in the college football playoff. Now, if they add it and they expand it to 8 or 12, do I think it's more entertaining? Yes. Do I think it would be crazy for us to pull up to Athens for a college football playoff game? I think that would be amazing. You know what I mean?
Good kick
That would
ass.
just, but at the end of the day, man, the best teams, the best 4 teams get in. You may argue between 4 and 7 who should be in that 4 seed, but guess what? The one who raises that trophy is the team that's supposed to win it. Now, ESPN and ABC need to start sharing some of this revenue here because it's like, yeah, y'all are just, for all we know, there's a ratings grab for the teams you put in there because we're gonna put Ohio State in at 4 over Cincinnati any day.
Oh, for sure.
Because that carries a better number.
It carries a better number, and they're better than them. At the end of the, let's just keep it 100. If Cincinnati played Georgia or Alabama schedule, I guarantee that they have at least 2 losses.
Absolutely, maybe 3. Are you ready for your college football 6-pack?
Let's bring it on.
Let's get it. Oh, wrong mouse. All right, so time for Parlay Pete's college football 6-pack. Let's get it.
Let's bring it in. I've got some really good stuff. I'm mad. We didn't really miss, but we did miss because I like doing the interaction part of this. But regardless of that, we've got a piping hot 6-pack, and I promise it won't disappoint because the later we get in the season, the more accurate it should be.
Hey, and by the way, thanks for putting the picks out last week. Like, we didn't even have a conversation about it. In my head, I was like, I hope Pierce gives me some picks just to throw on the gram. And then, like, lo and behold, you've been mentioning so-and-so's story. And I go, okay, bet. We got some picks. Thanks, man.
Yeah, we weren't going to leave it out. We weren't going to leave the people starving. So let's kick it off. We're going to get back to the Old Faithful, something that was working out a lot for us early in the year.
Ooh, that sounds like the first quarter.
You know exactly what it is. Alabama first quarter. They're playing New Mexico State this week. They sputtered offensively last week against LSU in a 20-14 fucking heart attack in Tuscaloosa. I just don't see them. I see them coming out and fucking really laying wood to just kick this thing off. Give me Alabama minus 13.5 first quarter. I do believe that they'll be up 2 touchdowns against New Mexico State. This is a slappy. This was put here on intentionally because the LSU game is typically a good game anyways. Even though LSU's not good, it still is typically a good game. So they had to have that slappy immediately after.
Yeah, they got the slappy after. They got to buy then Iron Bowl, right?
I don't know who they play next, but yeah, then the Iron Bowl I know will be the week after that because
I'm pretty sure
it's the day after Thanksgiving typically, or like that Saturday. So
that Saturday, yeah, I'm pretty sure they got the week off because it's the Iron Bowl.
Next up, we got Duke at Virginia Tech. We're gonna roll with the Hokies minus 6.5 in the first half. That's the spread. I wanted to take the 12.5. And the thing is, Duke is so fucking awful. They are one of the worst teams in college football. They get Pitt a good fight in the first quarter last week, but they still ended up losing by 25, which that was one of the free picks that we gave away that Pittsburgh was going to cover that 21.5. I expect Virginia Tech to do the same, but to do it in the first half. Next, we got a game that we kind of talked about before we got here, Michigan at Penn State. I'm rolling with Michigan, and I don't have a biasness towards Michigan. I think that Penn State, after kind of watching them, they beat Auburn, good win. They were kind of lethargic last week. Obviously, I watched them against Iowa. Iowa is not good. We knew that Iowa really wasn't a top. They weren't the number 2 team in the nation. Everybody kind of knew that.
What Colin?
Harbaugh in the momentum to get to the Ohio State game, where it basically comes down to, can you beat Ohio State? I like the idea of putting Harbaugh in that position again. He hasn't been in it for 3 years. And when he was in it 3 years ago, if you remember, there was a terrible call made in that game to where Michigan should have won that game because either Michigan got the first down or Ohio State didn't. I think JT Barrett didn't get
a bad spot or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was a terrible spot. I think it was JT Barrett that didn't get the first down, but they gave him the spot. And so I like the idea of them keeping that going. So we're going to go with Michigan money line. Next up, we're going to get to a late game. Colorado at UCLA. They have the over-under set at 57. I'm hopping all over that over. UCLA's defense sucks dick, but their offense scores points. And Colorado's defense sucks dick, and it's the Pac-10 or Pac-12 now. Self-explanatory, bunch of points going to get scored. UCLA probably should get into the 40s, and I don't see how Colorado doesn't get to the 20s.
Run it up, Coach Duke. Shout out to UCLA, man.
Exactly. Next game, Georgia at Tennessee. I wanted to go a couple of different ways on this, but I wanted to stay true to kind of what I think is probably going to happen. I don't think Tennessee's going to get shut out at home. And so I do think that they're going to get to that 17-point threshold. Maybe even they might score 20. Who knows? The offense has been humming, and they do look good. But I expect Georgia to honestly come out and put points on them. I don't see how they don't get over this 56 number. I like the idea of them airing it out on Tennessee. They got a leaky defense, a leaky secondary. They're not good defensively. So Georgia will score the points. The question is, will Tennessee get to cover? 40-17 sounds about right to me. That's a point over. I'm going to take the over. And we're not even going to buy points on it. We want to keep it at over 56. And then for the final game in the six-pack, we got another SEC dogfight. Pretty good game. Really could determine a lot for one team and enough for another too if somehow Alabama loses in the Iron Bowl. Texas A&M at Mississippi. Give me Ole Miss on the money line. They're giving us plus money. I'm on the Matt Corral train because if the Falcons were to draft a quarterback, I am all in favor of him. That is the only quarterback in college football that I would want for my Falcons. And
no spin.
I just like the idea of laying in a game like this to show up and beat a Texas A&M team that, to me, even though they're ranked number 11 and they were ranked in the top 6 to start the season, I still don't believe that they're that good. And I like Jimbo Fisher. I was a big fan of that Florida State team with Jameis. But I don't like them in the Grove at Ole Miss. So give me Ole Miss on the money line.
All right, so that's all 6 of them, isn't it? Yes, let me go back through them. We got Bama first quarter minus 13.5 over New Mexico. We got we're going to take Virginia Tech over Duke first half minus 6.5. We're going to take Michigan at on the money line versus Penn State. We're going to go Colorado and UCLA over 57, Georgia and Tennessee over 56, and then we're going to take Ole Miss on the money line versus Texas A&M.
Boom. That's beautiful. That's fucking beautiful.
So let's get to Parlay Pete's NFL six-pack.
The NFL fucking 6. And, you know, if anyone took advice from last week, we did pretty damn good. We did pretty fucking good. 4-2. And the 2 losses were the Raiders didn't cover the spread. Gosh, and, you know, they really should have covered that spread. The Giants aren't good. I got to watch them firsthand. They're not a good team. And then I had the Bears money line, which was the upset of the week. And, well, we saw that the Zebras, you know, did what zebras do, fuck up jungles. And so
I'm so tired of this taunting nonsense, man. Get it out of here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it really did cost the Bears a game, considering it was a big comeback. But we got an excellent 6-pack this week. So let's crack open that first beer. We're going to go ahead and do it. I know that everybody doesn't like this when I do it.
Ooh, Falcons bet.
God damn it. You're fucking right. We're not going to take a money line. And I didn't last week either. I actually took them on the points, even though I actually personally did bet the money line. We're going to take the Falcons plus 10.5. So the spread is at 9 as of today. So you got to buy the 1.5. But give me the Falcons 10.5. I don't really see them losing double digits. I think the game is going to be close, and ultimately it's going to come down to really who has the ball last, just like it did the last time they played.
And guess what, man?
The ball last.
And guess what? You give Matt Ryan 9-10 points. You like it. I love it.
And more importantly, I just think the Falcons, they've been road warriors this year. They've lost 1 game on the road, and it was a game that they were in the fourth quarter down 3 with the ball to the defending champs. I like them on the road. They're road warriors. I mean, they really have been playing well on the road. The London game was considered a home game, but that was a road game at the end of the day.
We've not gone to a game at the Benz and watched a win.
So if we count that, they're 4-1 on the road this year. I like Matt Ryan in these situations. He torched them last year. They're better. Dan Quinn's got the revenge angle going. And, he knows a lot about Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan knows a lot about him and how he was picking apart probably the fucking defense in practice all those years. So I think he knows exactly where to throw in that zone that Quinn runs. So give me the Falcons plus 10.5. Next game. Let me get the over in the Kansas City Chiefs at the Las Vegas Raiders, over 52. Typically, these games are shootouts, and the Chiefs already didn't score any points last week, and the Raiders kind of didn't score any points last week. I expect both offenses to get back on track and for there to be points, and it's on Sunday Night Football. We're not going to have a defensive match between those two teams.
We got Chris and Al?
You said who?
We got Chris and Al?
Yeah, Chris and Al. Chris and Al. I know how much you love Chris and Al. And there's nothing wrong with loving Chris and Al, There's nothing wrong with those guys. I don't know why you have such a big issue with those guys. I think that they call a fair game, okay? They call a fair game.
Unless Patrick Mahomes is playing, like Chris is going to really going to be into the game. He's really going to be like rubbing Mahomes up, man. I don't want to hear that shit.
Probably. He's like, you see here, Patrick Mahomes, he leads the NFL in turnovers, but God damn it, does this guy know how to throw that football? Look at that pass to Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce opening the seam, and he just looks the other way and throws it to Tyreek Hill. Give me the over 52. I love the over in that game. Next game, let me get the Buffalo Bills minus 13. They had a stinker in Jacksonville. They're at the Jets. They really should walk over these guys. The Jets do suck. We saw the Colts really put it on them, and now the Bills are pissed because they're coming off of a bad game themselves. Not only that they lost, but they really – this Mike White. I want to know who that is because I know it's not really Matt Nagy, unless Matt Nagy is tuned in, which if so, we appreciate it, Coach, but – you're still going to be reluctant to get an offensive coordinator job next year. And so,
Matt, come on next week, man. We'll make room for you.
Exactly. And so I do love the Bills minus 13 in this game. Bounce back game. I just see them doing it. And Mike White last week started. So they're probably going to throw the ball, but the Bills are probably going to turn it over a lot too. They're probably going to get a lot of turnovers, force them. And so next game, let me get the Tennessee Titans money line against the New Orleans Saints. I wasn't impressed with the Saints. They might be without Alvin Kamara. The Titans are just on a roll. They're at home. I haven't seen a Julio sighting all year. I just feel like there's got to be a game now where him and because even in this game against the Rams where they controlled the entire game, the defense kind of is what did it, shockingly. And so I expect Julio and A.J. Brown to kind of get off a little bit on the Saints, especially Julio being familiar with everybody over there. He's played against them enough in his career. The Saints I think they're probably going to still trot out Trevor Siemian. I just don't see how the Titans get slowed down by the Saints on the road. So give me the Titans. Next game. Let me get the over in the Eagles-Broncos game. I'm sorry, not the over. I said that wrong. The under in the Eagles-Broncos game. It's at 45.5. Give me those odds. I love the idea of this being a defensive slugfest. The Eagles defense still isn't terrible. They proved that kind of even against the Chargers. Like that game came down to the end. I expect it to be a close game. Denver's defense is still their calling card too. I don't see the points. 24-21 sounds about right to me, and that's right at 45. So give me the under there. I just don't see the points coming in. And then for the final pick of this six-pack. Now, I'm going to make a note here because this is actually important. If Aaron Rodgers is playing, give me Green Bay money line. But he won't be able to be cleared until Saturday. And so depending on that clear, we can throw it in anyways. But as long as he's playing, give me the Green Bay Packers money line because Russell Wilson's going to be back. And I think that the Packers know no, he's going to be back.
No. I was doing my Russell,
Oh, yeah. Go Hawks, right? Yeah, exactly. And so if Aaron Rodgers is playing, give me the Packers in that game. I like them. I don't think that Russ will be acclimated to throwing without having that sling on his hand. I know maybe he's had it off for about a week or whatever, but he still is newly surgery. And Green Bay's defense did play well against Patrick Mahomes on the road last week, and they kind of don't need to drop another game in a row. So as long as Aaron Rodgers –
good.
You said what?
And the Seahawks aren't good.
They aren't. They're not good. And so, and that's a kind of a rivalry match too, for what it's worth. Kind of like how the 49ers and Cowboys are. That's like a rivalry match between those.
Oh, yeah, because Aaron doesn't like Russell. And
they played each other enough times. The Hail Mary game, the NFC Championship, there's been enough moments to where that could be considered a rivalry.
Did you watch Aaron O'McAfee this week?
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched like 10 minutes of like the whole him explaining. I watched all that for sure.
Did you hear McAfee just like talking shit about Russell, like with the slick little, hey, you've been in the backyard, like breaking the huddle, calling the plays, going out there working the 2-minute drill?
All right. I didn't see it, but I can only imagine exactly what he was saying. But hold on. I wanted to add one more thing in case Aaron Rodgers isn't playing.
Okay.
So we can just add this as a bonus just because if he isn't playing, I would want you to make this pick as a part of that 6-pack.
Okay.
Give me New England -2.5 against the Browns. I think that Bill Belichick's got something for that ass. First of all, because they're coming off the high of winning a game. Do the Patriots have a winning record? They're 5-4, aren't they?
Yep.
They're 5-4. They're at home. They're going to already be on a short week because they have to come here to Atlanta next Thursday. And the defense is playing a lot better. Mac Jones is clearly playing a lot better. I like New England in this game. I think that he's going to neutralize Nick Chubb, and he's going to make Baker beat him, and Baker's not going to do that. So give me Belichick over Mayfield 7 days out of the week and twice on Sunday.
You know what? You like it. I absolutely love it. And Bill has that beef with Cleveland because he wants coach.
Yeah, he's the former coach. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot more. It's a deep match for him. I know it is. Like, and of course, and it actually does mean something. So
for our NFL 6-pack, we got Falcons. You're taking plus 10.5 points versus Dallas. We're going to buy a point there, right?
By a point and a half.
By a point and a half.
We're at 9. So it opened up at 10, but it was at 9 today. So 10.5 though. So if you can get it alternatively, or if you have to buy the point, 10.5 regardless.
Buy the point, 10.5. We're going to take over 52 in the Kansas City Las Vegas game. Mm-hmm. We're going to take the Buffalo Bills at the Jets -13. We're going to take the Titans money line against the Saints. We're going to take under 45 in the Eagles-Broncos game.
45.5.
45.5. Oops. Under 45.5. We're going to take Green Bay on the money line if Aaron Rodgers is playing. And if Aaron Rodgers is playing.
He has to be playing. I wouldn't make the bet if he's not playing.
If Jordan Love is playing, you know what? You can just go ahead and cancel Christmas, buddy. Because I played.
I expect Russell to honestly win that game.
And then if not, our extra bet, our bonus bet is we're going to take New England -2.5 versus the Browns.
Yep. And if you could, once you put it up too, put that disclaimer, the Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to type in the disclaimer.
I'm going to be honest with you. These picks were inspired to go perfect this week. I really do think I can go 12-0 with these picks this week. That's just how good I was trying to be about it.
All right. So we've been here longer than normal, but it's been a good time. We've had a way more robust
show.
We got the time to do it. But before we close out, man, we weren't here last week to celebrate because I was on work travel. We just got to chop on, baby. I know some of you think the chop is disgusting. It's fine.
Get over it. This is not I don't know any, and maybe I need to do better research. I don't know any Native Americans I've ever seen do that. I get the idea of the tomahawk itself, but I think with your arm, it's just you. Hell, this is a first down as far as I'm concerned. You're just doing it over and over again. Get over it. Get over it. But
victory cigars, baby. We're champions. We brought the first major pro sports championship back to the city since 1995. The last time these guys won it, in beautiful fashion. We beat the cheating Houston Astros. Everybody said we couldn't do it, but we did it.
Scott Boras is the most pissed for whatever reason. You know why he's pissed? Scott Boras is pissed because
he couldn't beat them.
The Braves don't sign big ass free agents, and those are the only type of guys he represents. So the Braves have never signed anyone that he represents. If you really look at it, there's no Scott Boras player that's it. That shit was hate. That was shade to the Braves.
Oh, did he say something?
Yeah, you did. So Scott Boras came out and said that basically, in this article, I think it was yesterday, Scott Boras came out and said that basically the Braves won as a product of tanking. That teams that were tanking, they were able to cherry pick players that weren't necessarily studs, which is even what makes it even weird. Because I'm like, well, you represent half the Dodgers, and all those guys are paid with fat ass contracts. Don't be mad because that $500 million payroll couldn't buy a fucking World Series. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be mad at the Braves for cherry picking and taking decent players, and then they all showed up in the fucking postseason. Give Alex Anthopoulos his fucking credit and the Braves for doing something that we hadn't even seen done before. A team that wasn't 500 on August 1st and winning the World Series. You know what I mean? Let's give them credit.
Give credit where credit's due. Scott Boras, you're still going to get paid. You're still a power broker here. You know what I mean? You're
Jay-Z still mention you in songs.
You're still Rich Paul. You're still T.O.'s old agent, the guy in the NFL. You're still that guy in baseball, man. Like, just chop on, dude. Just chop the fuck on.
Just
chop
the fuck on, man.
But yeah, man, it's great to be the most recent champion right now. It just feels great, man. How was the city?
On fire. And then, as a personal experience, obviously, y'all know, I went to the World Series Game 5. I hate that we didn't win that Grand Slam. After the Grand Slam, we FaceTime. If you remember, we FaceTime.
We did.
Because it was a moment, man. That was a moment in that stadium. Yeah, even though we didn't win the game, and I was hoping everybody wanted to celebrate that night. I mean, it was in the arena, in the field. Everybody thought that once he hit that Grand Slam, that game was over. And even though they blew it, it didn't feel like, I said Atlanta gonna Atlanta, but at the same time, I also just didn't feel like we were going to lose this. They just seemed like too much of a team of destiny.
And the thing is, we weren't supposed to win Game 5 anyways, because we did that weird rotation, like with a bunch of relievers. It was like, we're going to sell this game to bring out our stuff for Game 6 and close it out. And that's
exactly what the fuck they did. They shut out the best hitting team in the American League. Alex Bregman led the AL in batting average, and he was batting 7th. And they shut their sorry asses out. Shout out to Atlanta. And I know that, if Houston had won, Astro World was very soon. It was the following weekend, which I know you touched on that in the Kanye podcast, which I listened to. Good listen, by the way. But
thanks, man. Kanye's coming back on Drink Champs today.
No, he isn't.
Yeah, he's doing a part 2 today.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. So we're gonna do a Kanye pod together.
We got to, because anyone that does it, if they don't know, I'm a huge Kanye fan. That's my favorite. He honestly, outside of people like my dad and Kobe Bryant, he's like a person that does inspire me to be a better person.
Bro, I felt bad doing a Kanye pod without telling you I was going to do a Kanye pod, and I was just like, hold on, I got to get my initial thoughts off by myself.
That's fine.
Like, I know, but like, I just know what Kanye is to you, and I know what you mean to this.
Huge fan.
To this podcast, and I'm like, I'm gonna bring Pi on. I got to. But look, man, we've been here for an hour 45. I gotta piss.
You go take your piss, and you have a good night.
All right, man. Enjoy Thursday night football. I'll see you next week.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right.